So we'll go with some ultramarine blue, and I'm adding a little touch of burnt umber to that mix. And there's a really dark shadow along the edge of this tail here. So that may look almost black on camera, but it actually isn't. When I finish the painting, I'll post a high resolution image that you can zoom in on my website, so you'll be able to select any part of the painting that you like, and you can zoom right in on it, see the high resolution preview of that part of the painting, and that will allow you to see every brush stroke and see every colour really, really well, or almost as if the actual painting is right there in front of you. So I'm going to blend that edge of that shadow I put in. That was a little hard the way I did that before. So one of the things we do when we're painting is we look at the quality of edges, and edges occur both at the edge of the animal, if you like, along the underside of the leg there. That's an edge, but also when one colour is juxtaposed with another. Is it a harsh stop-start of colour from one to the other, or is it a softer edge, so it's much more of a blending effect that we're after? And of course, you don't have to paint it in the way it is in reality. It depends on the effect you're trying to get for your painting, or just what kind of effect do you end up with, and are you happy with that? If you are, great, then we leave it as it is, and if not, then we can change it. And I should mention that one of the great things about using these interactive acrylics on top of conventional acrylic is that if I want to, I could get a wet rag and wipe over this painting and remove all of the interactive acrylic now, and my underpainting would still be there as it was before I started putting the interactive acrylic on top. Now, I'm not recommending that as a regular course of action, but once in a while, if you have the odd emergency and you don't want to go right back to the beginning, then that's something you can do. It's kind of like doing a Control-Z when you're using Windows on the computer. One of the other techniques I use is that, as you may have noticed, is that when the brush is fully loaded, then I paint areas which are pretty solid in colour. And as the paint starts to run out, then I'll start to apply that colour in the areas where I don't mind a little more texture in the brush stroke. This is sometimes known quite obviously really as the dry brush technique. So you're relying on the relative lack of paint on the brush to give the marks you make more character and a little bit of unpredictability. And the darkness of the mark you make is often, or is very much dependent on the pressure you apply. So I need a little more dark here for that forelock, if that's the right expression. I'm no horse expert, so apologies if there are people out there who know the correct term. I think I got that one right there. Okay, so we're starting to form our horse in a little more detail. So what I like to do is try and bring up every part of the painting at the same time. So I'm going to add some more texture and some more colour and shapes to this foreground area now. Okay, so now I'm going to use a technique using my favourite 1-inch old decorator's brush. I've got some of the phthalo blue, and using a smaller brush, I'm going to apply that blue along the left-hand side, or the left-hand half of this side of the brush. I've got some cadmium yellow. I'm applying that to the right-hand side of the brush. I'm going to put a little more yellow along that edge. A little bit of burnt umber along this narrow edge, and then I'm mixing up a green with the phthalo blue and the cadmium yellow, and I'm going to apply that on that side of the brush. Having done that, I'm going to take my spray bottle and spray the brush a couple of times on both sides, and then I'm going to paint in this grass area. And what we will hopefully get, I can apply the brush in a different way like this. If I roll the brush, you can see that what I'm getting are little bursts of yellow and brown and blue mixed in with the green. And I'm just going to do that in those couple of places. I'm going to scrub in the area here. I want this to be darker. And when I run out of paint, I'll do that same technique again. And we can also do some stippling just to start. And the stippling I'm doing now, where we just dap or tap the brush in different places on the canvas. What we're doing is we're just starting to add some variety to the texture and the types of mark we're making on the painting. A little more cad yellow on the brush there. Now I need some titanium white. Pick out some of the lighter areas. Okay, so now check this out. I've got this fairly light bluey green here. I've kind of created a hard-edged shape. So if I don't like that, I can spray the painting with my water, and I can just start to feather out that region. And all of a sudden, that hard edge shape, and I can pick up bits of blue and green from other parts of the painting, has become something else. And I'm not going to leave it exactly as it is, but I've very quickly, using these interactive acrylics, been able to create a type of mark and blended colour region, which is much more difficult to do with normal acrylics once you've let them dry, and that can often happen pretty quickly, certainly in warm conditions. So I'm actually going to use some paper towel now and the spray bottle just to scrape away some of that. So when you're drawing with pencil and paper, one of the other little tricks you can do is get an eraser and use the eraser as a drawing tool. In other words, you can put down a solid area of dark grey with the pencil, and then use the eraser to draw in your highlights, rather than simply using the eraser to remove mistakes, inverted commas. And here you can do the same thing with these interactive acrylics. You know, you can put down a layer of paint and then use your removal of the paint as your mark making tool. And as I've got paint on my paper towel, let's see what we get if we just move that around a little bit. Just a couple of little marks. Okay, that's fine for now. I'll come back again, but at the stage I was at before, I'd only put one layer of colour onto the background, and I put 2 or 3 layers of colour onto the horse, so things were getting a little out of balance. I'm now going to put a second layer of paint on this upper background area. Blue, alright, I've got my phthalo blue, cadmium yellow, and plenty of titanium white on my brush, and I'm going to fill in around the horse here, just killing the yellow element of the background a little bit. I don't want to lose all of it, but I don't want it all to be exactly the same colour range. And again, as the paint is running out, I'm going to take advantage of that and apply a little bit of texture in different regions. And some of this yellow I do really like, so I certainly don't want to kill all of it here. And in fact, you see here I've got this dark green and this lighter green. I can effectively do some cross-hatching with the dry brush to kind of soften the edge between those two. And looking at this again, I think I've gone a bit overboard with the green that I first put down. So I'll remove some of that in just a moment, even though it's pretty much touch dry. A little bit of spray. Just soften that a bit. Okay, good.